In this video, we're going to cover how to assemble the fidget spinner generator. In front of us, there is everything that we need to do so. We have a copper coil, a 3-volt LED, any color besides UV will work great. We like red because it's the easiest to get to light, a ruler, craft stick, or something else to just form the backbone of our generator, as well as some tape, either scotch or packing. The first step in building the generator is double checking that the leads or the wires coming off the coil have been stripped for the last about inch of their length. And stripping just means removing the insulation from these tiny wires. And what that does is allows us to make a good electrical connection between the coil and the LED. And in person, I can see that the ends of my wire are dull and a slightly different color than the rest of the coil. And that's telling me that the insulation has been removed. If you need to remove the insulation from your coil, it's quite easy to do so. Here I have some wire that needs its insulation removed. And all you need to do is simply pass that wire through a match or a lighter flame very quickly. And you'll see the color change. There'll be a little puff of smoke, maybe a little burst of light, and that will burn off the insulation. That's the best way to remove the insulation from the wire. The next step is to connect the LED and the leads of your copper coil. Now, to show you how to do that, I'm going to use a model just so you can see everything better. And what I like to do is I like to bend the legs of my LED apart so I have a little bit more room to work when building my connection, as well as reducing the risk of short circuits because my stripped wires are going to be far apart from one another. Here's my model wire. You can see that the end has been stripped. And what I like to do is take about that last inch, maybe a little bit more, and then bend it and hold it against the LED like so, and then wrap my wire around that leg of the LED. And I try to wrap it at least 5 times, more is better. And I'm wrapping towards the end of my wire. And what that does is it reduces the number of twists in my lead, which reduces the risk of breaking. And it's getting this stripped end of the wire far away from the other leg and the other wire, which reduces the risk of short circuits, which would cause the generator to fail. And now, once your LED is attached, you just need to tape everything down to your backer board. And when you're taping, try to avoid any creases or bubbles that might hit the fidget spinner generators, slowing it down. And you want to make sure that if you have any extra lead, that's taped down, that it won't get caught in the fidget spinner, as well as your LED. Once you've assembled the coil and LED portion of the generator, the next step is to assemble the fidget spinner portion. This assembly has 3 steps: adding the magnets, adding a cap, and adding the pegs. The first step is adding the magnets. We recommend using these wide, thin magnets that are included in the kit. However, if you check the build guide online, you can see other alternatives. The magnets will stick directly to the counterweight bearings of the fidget spinner, but we do recommend using the foam adhesive pads that are included in the kit as an extra layer of safety. When you're adding both the foam pads and the magnets, make sure that nothing rubs on the central hub of the fidget spinner. That will cause friction and your fidget spinner generators will not work very well. If that happens, you should be able to take the foam pads off or maybe trim them or push things out to the edge. But it's easiest just to avoid it in the first place. The next step is adding the cap. And to add the cap, the first thing that we recommend that you do is to pop off the central hub of a fidget spinner. And that easily comes off just with a butter knife. And you can pop that right out. And what this does is it eliminates any risk of getting glue in this central bearing. If you get glue in the bearing, the fidget spinner is ruined, so that's what we want to avoid. And now both of these surfaces are very, very smooth, and the glue is not going to want to stick to those very smooth surfaces, so we need to roughen them up. And we can use sandpaper for this, a nail file, even a brick or a concrete wall should work. And I'm going to roughen both up. And especially on the cap, I want to be careful that I'm actually roughening the portion that the fidget spinner is going to get glued to. Because if you notice, these aren't flat. So when I'm sanding, I'm only sanding the outside edge. So I want to make sure that I roughen up a similar location on the bottle cap. And so once I have both of those roughened, I'm just going to give both of them a clean just to remove any dust or oils from both. I really want to give the glue a fighting chance to work here. And then once both are clean, you can use a super glue or Gorilla Glue or some other kind of strong adhesive to bond the two together following the manufacturer's directions. When you glue the two together, do your best to center both caps on each other, although it does not need to be perfect. The last step in building the fidget spinner portion of the generator is adding these pegs. And the pegs are used later in the unit to spin the fidget spinner using gravitational energy. And so what students do is they wrap a string around these pegs, attach the string to a mass, and then when they drop the mass, it'll spin the fidget spinner. These pegs are 6mm drywall anchors, which are included in the kit, and they should simply slide right into the counterweight bearings. Now, depending on the exact batch of drywall anchors that you have, your fit might be a little loose. If it's too loose for your taste, simply use a wrap of Scotch or masking tape to tighten up the fit. If you lose these pegs or if they disappear from your classroom, a great alternative is the barrel of a Bic round stick pen. Just take the ink cartridge out and you can cut this pen up and it will be a perfect fit for your counterweight bearings. And at the end of this process, you should have a working fidget spinner generator.